Well, hello again. Pastor Ray Barnett here. Glad that you could be with me on the Oasis, formerly known as God's Answers for Anxiety and Depression. As always, I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. Beautiful day today, once again. High 60s, low humidity. It's totally sunny sky, not a cloud in sight. And you know, it's funny. Over here in front of me is the sun is very strong. There's no shade, there's no trees in this field here. But right behind me, here where I'm in the trees, it's actually cool. You could go maybe 50 feet. And it goes to, well, I gotta take this shirt off to, boy, I better put a shirt on. In any case, it's great for me to be able to see God's handiwork in the universe and in our world. I don't know how many people think when they see, beauty, when they see beautiful sights. But for me, I always see the hand of God. We are at peak season right now in upstate New York for leaves, colors. And the leaves are already starting to fall off the trees. And it's just truly a wonder when you look around and can see the hand of an omnipotent God and what He has done. And then think, based on the promises given to us by Jesus Christ, what is yet to come. So this is how I look at life. And today I just want to share with you this principle, which is also, it's a principle to help deal with nervous symptoms, anxiety, and depression, and so on. But it's also a principle that's in the Bible. And in Psalm 19, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still and know that I am God. Think about that. In our busy lives, in my opinion, in our overly busy lives, we often miss the handiwork of God. And I don't mean simply in nature alone, but the intellectual aspect, which is the soul, and then the spiritual aspect, which of course is the spirit. By the way, the Bible divides man up not into two, body and soul, as we have in most areas of psychology and teachings on psychology. The Bible declares that man is made up of three parts: a spirit, a soul, and a body. In any case, God exhorts us through His Word to be still. This, by the way, is the same idea. This is something I preached on 2 weeks ago in my message. This is the same idea of the word Sabbath, or what we call today in the church the Lord's Day, which is for us is a Sunday. Sabbath in the Old Testament was Saturday, or is a Saturday. And Sabbath means to cease, stop. And of course, I'm sure that you're familiar with the old expression, you got to stop and smell the roses. Well, there's great truth in some of these old sayings. There really is great truths if you just take the time to think about it. You have to stop and smell the roses. For us, the biblical injunction is, be still and know that I am God. The benefit to you of stillness is that your nervous system gets a rest. Do you remember I spoke to you about how to put yourself to sleep at night when you're feeling restless, or to go back to sleep if you wake up? And that is that you must keep your body perfectly still, not permitted to move at all. And this is a discipline, like many of the disciplines that I give to you here on the Oasis, that does take time and a lot of effort to practice and then perfect. But once you do, you can give your nervous system you can actually give it as much rest as you want or as it needs. But in the motionless sitting and in the motionless laying down in the bed and so on, the nervous system actually gets a bit of a rest. It gets a bit of a break. And that's, of course, what you want. The added bonus is that if you sit still, lie still on the bed, and you don't have to be out here in nature as I am, but if you sit still and if you lie still on the bed, and I think, yeah, it would be an added bonus if you could find a place like this, some park somewhere. But as you know, many of you know, I grew up in New York City, front door Yonkers, back door the Bronx. But I was able to find those places of stillness, quietness, well, maybe not quiet, but stillness, even in New York. You can find it anywhere. Why? Because God is everywhere. So the added bonus is not only you're giving your nervous system a rest, but if you're alert and don't permit your mind to wander too much, which the mind has the tendency to be wandering, I'll say all the time, but it's a lot. And that's, again, a discipline to control your thoughts, because things enter in that you don't want to think about or shouldn't think about. If you're alert, you'll start to see God. Well, I mean the handiwork of God. You're not going to see God. You're going to see the handiwork of God. And along with that, because of the spiritual principles involved and of the Holy Spirit, you will have God speak to you. Now, I'm not talking about the elaborate and exotic claims of these people on television and on the radio, or those that write books. I'm simply talking about in quietness. Here's a verse from the book of Isaiah. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Well, it's the same idea. As you sit still, as you lie still, and if you are alert, you're not letting your mind wander all over the place, God will begin to communicate with you the fact that He is God. But that's a very general statement. The actuality is God will begin to communicate to you about His sovereignty, about His being the King of the universe. Never elected, didn't ask man's permission to do that. He is the King. In Ezekiel, God says, all souls are mine. That means God can do whatever pleases Him. We could object, but in the end, the decision of the Lord will remain. So, you're depressed, and more than likely for good reason. And you're anxious, and similarly, more than likely for good reasons. But the solution, at least part of it, is this, what we find in Psalm 19. Be still and know that I'm God. And again, that's a general concept, but the idea is that in knowing that He is God, there'll be a relief, there'll be a calmness that comes to your soul, a relief that God is actually in control. And these things actually come from God. I mean, we read them in the Bible, yes, but it's God who makes them real to us. So we have this exhortation, be still and know that I am God. Let me add one more thing here today. I have stated for years my conviction that the art of contemplation, meditation, I don't mean sitting cross-legged on the floor chanting. I'm talking about just the art of contemplating this nature. This is what I'm going to do when I finish with this broadcast. I'll sit here and I'll just contemplate, meditate, not only on the nature around me, or the water, trees, but life in general. Also, when you're still, you can actually think about what is troubling you that you're trying to get a solution to, and find better answers because you're relaxed. So it's a win-win. God communicates to you that He is God. Your nervous system gets the benefit of a well-needed rest, and your spirit is rejuvenated, and your mind is rejuvenated, and all of it is simply good. So let me pray for you today that you will begin, if you've not already begun. And if you want to find a place, as I do when I do these broadcasts for you, that would be great. But you don't